women's MMA a lot of times just kind of feels like affirmative action in the UFC, right? Like we don't really care about all these women fighting. We want to get to the main event, right? And some people might disagree. Women can have great fights, but they usually don't, let's be real. And best case scenario with a women's MMA fight, it doesn't ruin the card, it doesn't ruin the pacing, it doesn't ruin how the feeling of everything. And the worst case scenario is that you're just sitting through painful 5 minute rounds, just taking bathroom breaks over and over and over again, and just waiting for it to be over. And I think we can fix this though. I'm not trying to be rude to the women fighters, right? They're warriors, right? But I want a solution where we can actually make women's MMA entertaining once and for all. And I have a pretty unique solution for this, and a lot of people are really going to be upset with this, but just hear me out, okay? And I'm going to try to tackle two birds with one stone, right? So, the men's flyweight division right now is pretty lackluster, and it always has been. It's always been one of the least exciting divisions that nobody's really cared about, right? Like when Demetrius Johnson was champion, he just dominated everybody, and he was like one of the worst selling pay per view champions. No, I love Mighty Mouse, but he just was, and maybe some of you guys can possibly see where I'm going, connecting the dots here. I think, and this is just I'm just throwing this out there. Why don't we let the women fight the men? I'm being serious. Why don't we let Kayla Harrison fight Alexandre Pantoja? And I don't care about the weight class, dude. We can make an exception, bro. Imagine a main event announced, and it was Alexandre Pantoja versus Kayla Harrison. Would you not watch that? I'm watching that shit. I am fucking turning that shit on, getting no bathroom breaks for that one. I am watching every second of that fight because that's so interesting, and I feel like the UFC has to stop taking itself so seriously, man. Like it's a sport where people get in an octagon and beat each other up, right? Let's stop taking each other so seriously, man. Like those Russian MMA promotions that do like 3v1s or like knight in armor fighting. Come on, let's get some of that in the UFC, man. Stop taking yourself so seriously. Just have some fun. I want women's MMA fighters to be able to fight in the men's flyweight division without having to make the weight, okay? They can weigh in at like, let's say like 155 maybe, and then the male fighters have to weigh in at 125. Oh, but it's not fair. Okay, I don't care. I don't care, bro. Nobody. Okay, I mean, people watch the men's flyweight, but not enough people. And Alexandre Pantoja is a great champion, super dominant, but who is he gonna fight, bro? They literally had to pull somebody out of a different promotion and gave him a title shot on his debut, and he still lost in the second round pretty easily. Who is he gonna fight? Nobody really cares about Alexandre Pantoja's, title defense number 4 against people he's already beaten. And just to be clear, no disrespect to Pantoja. Like I love his fight style. He's super entertaining. But my point is, who is he gonna fight next? Just someone he's already beaten, or some random dude who doesn't deserve the title shot? That's my point. But if he were to fight a women's MMA fighter, I mean, fuck, that would be. I am fucking tuning into that shit, bro. There aren't many women's MMA fights that I get super hyped up for. But God, I would get so excited. Like that would just be so interesting, just to kind of see what happens, and from there we can kind of mess around, and just kind of maybe we can even get some women fighting in the men's bantamweight division, bro. I don't care, man. We want to talk about equality. People like to bring up equality in sports. You want to talk about equality? Just throw the women with the men, bro. Just do it, and let's just see what happens, bro. These women are fighters. I'm sure they would love to get an opportunity up with the men, right? This is what they want, and this entire idea might sound a little bit crazy, and it is. It is super crazy, but the UFC should stop taking itself so seriously, I think. And a super good solution to that is to kind of spice things up a little bit. People aren't going to care about women's MMA fights if it's just women fighting each other. Like, let's be real. Sure, some of the fights are kind of interesting, maybe kind of interesting, but the overwhelming grand majority of the time, We are just, let's be real, we're just waiting for the next fight. And like we're thankful. It's like the entire, it's like a huge meme. Like, thank God, I love the Saudi Arabia cards because there's no women fighting on them. I don't think it's a bad idea to throw some women in the men's flyweight division. Like, are you seriously gonna sit here and tell me you wouldn't watch that fight? And yeah, it sucks that we have to resort to this, right? But I mean, come on, is that not such a banger of a fight? Kayla Harrison versus Alexandre Pantoja. I mean, that would just be so much fun to watch. Like, I just want to see it, man. I just want to see it because this solves two problems. Flyweight is a lot more interesting now, and women's division is a lot more interesting because it's like, oh man, who's gonna be the next woman fighter to beat a male fighter? And even if we're not talking about the champion of the flyweight division, right? Just give him a contender, right? Like, just give him some contender in the flyweight division, and that would be interesting. Like that could be fun. That could be interesting, just to kind of see what happens. We should at least try it and just see what happens, right? And I wish it didn't have to come down to this, right? Like, I wish we could just get hyped up for women's MMA fights. And I'm not trying to be sexist here, but legitimately, legitimately, the best thing a women's MMA fight can do is just like not ruin the entire card. You know, it's never gonna be like a it's never gonna be like a crazy fight like an Alexander Volkanovski versus Islam Makhachev fight. Is it really gonna be like that? Have you seen a women's MMA fight like that? I don't think so. Maybe you can call me a casual, but I mean, think about how many pay-per-views that is gonna sell. I'm fucking watching that. I am watching a men's and women's fighter fight. You are watching that too. If you're telling me that you're not gonna watch it, you're lying to yourself. You're watching it. It's a fun fight. It's funny. It's entertaining, and I would love to see what happens. And this is a very viable solution to make some women's fights more entertaining. And then, we can see the women fight each other after fighting the male guys, and then being like, and kind of comparing it and be like, oh, so this is how, 155ers in the women division do against the 125ers in the men's division, It's kind of interesting, right? So, maybe the women would get destroyed. Maybe the men would get destroyed. You don't know that. You don't know what's going to happen, man. I know people really aren't gonna like this, but this is a very good idea. And if you disagree with me, then you're just simple-minded.